So, this creature says, whenever a sapperling you control dies, Slimefoot the Stowaway deals 1 damage to each opponent and you gain 1 life. Then it says, pay 4 mana, 4 colorless mana, create a 1/1 green sapling creature token. So he makes his own dudes. He's an army in a can, which for those that don't know, an army in a can is a dude or enchantment who makes other dudes on himself. So that's what that means. If you've heard that phrase before, you didn't know, that's what that means. And just like the other black card that we discussed earlier, where you sack a creature and it gets +2/+2. If it's sapperling, you gain 2 life. Those two guys pair fantastic with one another because then you're actually gaining 3 life and your opponent takes a life. So this guy, I'm really gonna probably make this guy a commander. I've been going back and forth on what my next EDH deck's gonna be, and I wasn't sure.
I feel like he's a good commander, but I think that Get Rock might be better.
No, I just want to play the Fungus.
Well, okay, fair. If you're gonna do that, then yeah, just go that way.
Another card. This also could go as one of the 99 in Guru of Spores because it also makes sapperlings. So you could play him in that deck, but I actually just dig him as a commander all on his own. He's gonna see play in Standard as the sapperling deck. If that exists, he's gonna be in there for sure. As much as I like him, he's not gonna see Modern play. But I really like him though. And I think that he could eventually be a thing. In Standard for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, a good card. I like it a lot. Next up is Shauna Sisay's Legacy. It is a 2 mana 0/0, green and a white. Legendary creature, human warrior. It says Shauna Sisay's Legacy can't be the target of abilities your opponents control. So it can be targeted by spells, which is relevant. Some people miss that part. So it doesn't have exactly hexproof, just has part hexproof, I guess. And then it says Shauna gets +1/+1 for each creature you control. So if you're on a go wide strategy, she's sweet because most go wide strategies are bad because once you play like an Anger of the Gods, your entire team goes away. And while she would go away because there would be no creatures left other than her, I think that she gives the ability to go tall while the rest of your dudes go wide. So that's actually pretty good. Having 2 relevant ways to attack your opponent.
Yep.
Is good, and it's a 2 mana card. Like it's pretty good. So let me go back. So this card, Standard playable. Could see play as one of the 99 in Commander. Probably not good as a commander herself. Could see play in Green-White Value Town though, in Modern.
Definitely Green-White Value Town.
Because they already play stuff
they
like voice.
Flood the board.
Yeah, they play Voice of Resurgence already.
Yeah.
Which is its other side is a similar card. So, next up is Forebearer's Blade. It is a 3 mana equipment that equips for 3. It says equipped creature gets +3/+0 and vigilance and trample. Then it says whenever equipped creature dies, attach Forebearer's Blade to target creature you control. So while there hasn't,
it doesn't really go away.
It doesn't go away, and like it's similar to a lot of cards. So it's like similar to Loxodon Warhammer, but it doesn't have lifelink. Instead, it has vigilance. Whether or not the vigilance versus lifelink is the deal breaker, I'm not really sure. Though it has essentially an equip for free for the second ability. So I think that actually gives it a slight edge when comparing those two cards. The only thing that's a drawback is that it is an equip for 3. So you have to pay 3 mana and then pay 3 mana again to equip to get it onto the first creature. And if they kill that creature in response to the equip, you don't get the ability of the second thing to go. So equipment is sometimes hard to evaluate how good it will be in standard.
Yeah.
This is only a standard card. Like, this is not going to see play in modern or anything, because Lexidar and Warhammer already exists in modern, or that card is available for modern and it is not used. There's just not a deck that really needs this type of effect.
Right.
But I think it is standard playable, and like thinking about it in like, this almost could be another card of your top end of your servo token deck, where you make one of your 1/1s a threat now, and it's a 3 or 4/1 with vigilance and trample, and then once it dies, you put it on the next one because you made 2. Now the other one's got it. Like, it's. I think that could go well in a token strategy to keep it going. So this card right here has the potential to be broken. So it's called Traxos Scourge of Krug. It is a 4 mana 7/7. That's already ridiculous. Legendary artifact creature construct with trample. So it's a 7/7 mana, 7/7 with trample. It's crazy. Traxos Scourge of Krug enters the battlefield tapped and doesn't untap during your untap step. So it never untaps.
Nope.
Whenever you cast a historic spell, untap Traxos. So you could do something like play an artifact each turn and untap your dude. If you have a way to bounce back artifacts and then play them again, you can keep untapping the guy. Or you can play something that I said we were going to come back to. So we come back to that.
Oh, yeah.
So there's an actual combo with that card. And this card called On Sarah's Wings. For 4 mana, 1 white and 3 colorless, legendary enchantment aura. So it's a legendary enchantment. Remember, one of the requirements was it had to be a legendary or a historic spell. Okay, so legendary enchantments count. So when you play this thing, it would untap Traxos and then you put it on it. Okay, then it says enchant creature. Enchanted creature is legendary. Gets why is it written that way? Enchanted creature is legendary. Gets okay, so I guess it makes the
creature legendary.
It makes a creature legendary. Okay, sorry, I was didn't seem right when I was reading it out loud. Gets +1/+1 and has flying, vigilance, and lifelink. So now you gave that 4 mana 7/7 trample. Now you give it +1/+1, flying, vigilance, and lifelink.
So he never has to tap it again.
He's got vigilance. Remember that part where I was telling you like you had to untap it every time?
Yeah,
no,
he's
you don't.
gonna fly.
You don't do that anymore.
Putting a big beast flying in the air.
Flying with trample and lifelink.
He was already legendary, so that doesn't matter.
Yeah, F that part. I don't care. Yeah, that's like a sweet 2-card. We're not gonna call it a combo, but it's the sweetest of the synergies that you can get on 2 cards. Like they were literally meant to be together. Yeah. That's the chocolate and the peanut butter right together. But yeah, those 2 cards are very sweet. If there was a way to bounce What you could possibly build a deck around it. There's been cards that have allowed you to bounce cards back to your hand, like Glint Hawk. You bounce a creature you control back to your hand, stuff like that. And if you make those like Midnights or Ornithopters, you can constantly untap your guy.
Yeah.
In older formats is what I was saying. I think that those two cards are On Sarah's Wings and Trexos are going to be a combo in standard.
He's too slow for.
I think he's
modern.
just too slow for modern though. He's close. He's close.
Because he's too much mana for Affinity, and Cheerios doesn't want to play that.
Yeah. And then the thing I was talking about with Glint Hawk and all that stuff that can bounce cards back to your hand, it's cute, very cute, but it's just not practical and it won't get you there every time. So, back to where we were. Next is Helm of the Host. For 4 mana, it's a legendary artifact equipment that equips for 5. So a bajillion and a half mana for the equipment itself and the equip cost. But it says, at the beginning of combat on your turn, create a token that's a copy of equipped creature. Except the token isn't legendary if the equipped creature is legendary. That token gains haste.
That's pretty good.
It's very good.
I heard 2 Ulamog swinging in is pretty dumb.
Yeah, it's 40 cards I've heard.
Yeah. 10,
Off the
20
off,
damage.
off the top of your library.
Yeah, they're both indestructible.
Bye-byes.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about 2 Emrakuls?
That's
Annihilator 12
yeah.
with 30 points worth of damage.
Yep.
In the air. This card's the little nutter butters right here. Like, if you get the cutest, like this is the sickest casual card ever created.
Or you want to make somebody mad? Play Commander? 2 Ionas.
Oh yeah, you can name 2 colors. Yeah.
That's,
but the beautiful thing is, so one of
combat.
Yeah, one of the things about this card is that the token doesn't go away.
Nope.
Most of the time when cards create token copies
They go by.
and give that copy haste or whatever, at the end of the next end step they go away. But this doesn't have that. So literally, you could put it to where, put it on Iona and then eventually have all 5 colors named. And then
your opponent's just like,
your opponents can't play spells anymore. Unless they're artifacts.
Unless they're playing colorless.
Yeah, colorless Eldrazi or something like this. This is the supreme of casual cards right here. It's the dude. Did you hear the time about how I had Helm of the Host on, Ulamog the Infinite Gyre or whatever? Like, just it's so stupid. This is it's a good card.
Annihilator,
it's a fun card.
Annihilator 12.
Annihilator 12 with Emrakul. Like
2 15/15s combination.
Now, obviously, Emrakul is banned in Commander, but like if you could live the dream, in Modern, it would be sweet. Anyways, next up is a Commander staple as a reprint in Gilded Lotus, 5 mana artifact. You tap it and add 3 mana of any one color to your mana pool. Actually, the mana pool thing is actually gone now. They've shortened it to just add 3 mana of any one color. But regardless, art is beautiful. It's a sweet reprint.
Very beautiful art.
We'll see play in Standard probably. Already sees the where this card has its price from is from Commander.
Yep.
Because it's not played in anything else.
Nope.
But it's a sweet card though. It is a sweet card. Next up is a card, Damping Sphere. A card that has nothing to do with Standard at all. Like literally, there's
for Tron, and that's it.
Tron and Storm. Like so I can't even think of a deck that is even murmured about in Standard that this has anything to do with. Most of the decks in Standard don't play more than 1 spell a turn. So the second thing doesn't have any ability, and the tap, or if your land taps for any more than 1 mana.
Maybe if you're playing aggro, like that's it. Aggro.
Maybe.
Like you'd have to get that out like really quick.
Yeah, I guess, but yeah, it's like a corner case.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
That's just gonna slow them down. It's not gonna slow
Right.
them.
So, Damage Sphere, 2 mana artifact. It says, if a land is tapped for 2 or more mana, it produces 1 Wingding mana instead of any other type and amount. So yeah, Tron is this is your
Just says
this is the bane of your existence. And then because that part wasn't enough, they stapled another paragraph onto this, or another sentence onto this card. It says, each spell a player casts costs 1 more to cast for each other spell that player has cast this turn. So this hoses Storm, it hoses Cascade, it hoses lots of cards. This is going to be one of the most ubiquitous sideboard cards in Modern going forward, period. End of story. Like, if
it shuts Tron down almost as much as Trinisphere does.
You mean Storm?
Storm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Trinisphere is just a hair bit better than this card, but because so many decks are not good against Tron or Storm, they play this over Trinisphere because it hoses 2 different decks in one card.
2 tier 1 decks.
Yeah, tier 1 decks in one card. Like, both Storm and Tron now have to be prepared for at least every deck that they come across being able to play Damping Sphere. Just going forward now. This is going to be a thing.
I hate it.
And it's not only that is like, it's going to be probably a 2 to 3 of in those slots, because you're going to want to see those cards in those matchups.
Yep.
So it's not just going to be a 1 of.
Nope.
In the sideboards of those people that are playing those cards.
Right.
So yeah, this card is literally insane in shaping the Modern format going forward. Not saying that Tron is completely shut down, nor Storm. Like, they still have to find the card and see the card, and mulling down to it
is not
great. But you know, people will do that. I mean, one of the things about this card that makes it even better too is it is a 2-drop.
Yeah, it's 1 cheaper than Trinisphere.
It's 1 cheaper than Trinisphere. So like, it is. This card is really, really strong.
Spicy meatball.
Yeah, very. Next up. Oh, I'm not charging up. Whatever. Next up is Jorah's Familiar. It's a 4 mana 2/2 artifact creature bird with flying. And it says, historic spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. This card is better than what I think people will give it credit for. Anytime you get to reduce the cast cost on anything, especially something as ubiquitous as artifacts, makes it...
Or legendaries.
Yeah, or legendaries. Makes this card really, really good.
Yeah. Because it also counts itself.
Yep.
You play 4 of them standard.
If you play 4 of these in the same deck, the next one you see is 3 mana. So you're at 3 mana 2/2, and then now, like, if you have 2 of these in play, like something like Heart of Kieran now costs 2 mana. Like, it's pretty good, right? So Heart of Kieran's 4 mana, right? Is it 3?
I thought it was cheaper than that. It might be 4 mana.
I think it's 4.
Dude, I swear I thought it was cheaper than that.
One moment, please.
2 mana.
It's 2 mana, JK. All right.
So yeah, you can just play that for free.
For free and then crew it with the dudes that you make, because it's a crew of.
I think it's 3.
Three?
I think it's 3.
Yeah, so you could tap 2 of those. Yeah, 3. So you could play it for free, and then tap the 2 guys you made to crew.
Because Heart of Kieran is legendary and an artifact.
Yeah, sweet.
Get them on both sides.
So very good. It's an underrated card.
Very.
I'm not saying it's the bomb diggy or anything, but it is a good card. It's a very solid card.
Yep.
And I think this is the last one. Nope. Okay, we got to go into lands next. The last artifact is Power Stone Shard. For 3 mana, you get an artifact that says tap, add 1 wingding mana for each.
Lewis?
Yeah. For each artifact you control, name Power Shard Stone. I'm sorry, Power Stone Shard. Sorry. So, when you play this, the first one is going to be terrible.
Yeah.
The second one is actually going to be pretty good. So, once you've invested 6 mana, you get 4 of that back. And
at 9 mana, you're at 9 mana.
yeah. So it is a very it scales actually better than I originally thought when I saw this card.
Yeah.
I was like,
if you have a playset on the field, you're at 16 mana.
yeah, it's insane. You're Torment of Hailfiring for a bajillion, essentially is what that says. So while it won't see any play outside of standard,
yeah, because it's just not good in Commander.
no, because you can only do 1 of, so it's a 3 mana tap for 1. That's terrible. It's too slow for modern.
Copy deck.
Yeah, but then you're getting like trying to be super cute. That's just not good. And it's too slow for modern. So
yeah, definitely.
But it's gonna be sweet for standard. Next up is a land Memorial to Folly. It says it's just a regular land. It says Memorial to Folly enters the battlefield tap. Then it says tap, add 1 black, or pay 2 a black and tap it. Sacrifice this card. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So there's been many cards that bring cards from your creature cards from your graveyard to your hand.
Yep.
And they've always been good in standard. So this one is no exception. This is going to be a way to get some late game resiliency, so that way you can still play stuff in the late game.
Yep.
Next up is Memorial to Unity. Same thing, it enters in the battlefield tapped. This one is the green version, so you tap and add a green. Or you pay 2 green and tap it, sacrifice it to look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card from among them and put it in your hand. Then put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So it's a similar effect to the first one, though you can literally choose which one in the graveyard for the black one. This one is kind of like a crapshoot, but anything like Lead the Stampede and stuff like that, those cards saw play in standard, and they were good cards, and this is also going to be the same way. You're going to look at the top 5, find a creature, and put it in your hand.
Yep.
It's pretty good. Next one is, how do you say that?
Zalfirin.
Sure. What he said? Void. When this card enters the battlefield, scry 1, and then you can tap it to add 1 wingding mana. So
basically a waste without this card.
With the scry, yeah. So the good thing about this card is it doesn't enter the battlefield tapped. The other ones enter the battlefield tapped. Yep. So this card is going to probably be a 3 of, if I had to guess, in a control deck. I don't know if they would go the full 4, but at least 3 in standard.
2 to 3.
Yeah, because it doesn't come into play tapped. I mean, it is a colorless mana, but the fact that you get to scry is really strong. Yeah. And so really good card here for standard, and that's the last one. So as you noticed, may have noticed, we didn't discuss any of the legendary spells.
Oh, Karn.
Yeah, and we didn't talk about Karn. We'll do Karn. Sorry. That one is worth talking about, and then I'll summate why we're not talking about any of the legendary spells, legendary sorceries. Oh, there he is. All right, so for 4 mana, for 4 mana we got a 4 mana we get Karn, Scion of Urza, legendary planeswalker Karn for 5 loyalty, and then his for +1 reveal the top 2 cards of your library. An opponent chooses one of them, put that card into your hand and exile the other with a silver counter on it. So we'll get to that ability in just a second. The -1 is put a card you own with a silver counter onto it from exile into your hand. And then -2 is create a 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature token with this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. So the first one is like a pseudo card draw. The second one is, hey, I really like the other card that you exiled. I want that one now. But you obviously aren't going to do the -1 before you do the +1. So
don't do it.
So literally,
don't be bad.
That's literally no reason to do the -1.
Don't do it.
And then the -2 is actually a good way to protect himself. That way you can put a blocker in front of him. And being that it's 4 mana, for him, you may have probably played 1 to 2 artifacts. If you're playing the servo token deck, then you're probably playing even more. So he could the token that he makes could be really, really big. But yeah, ultimately, it's a solid card. We'll probably see play in standard in like some sort of artifact or control type deck, maybe.
I can see that.
So with all the other spells that we didn't discuss, or
like 100 of them.
Yeah, there's a bajillion and a half.
50.
So like the legendary sorceries, for instance, we'll go over Karn's Temporal Summary. For 6 mana, it's a legendary sorcery. It says you may cast legendary sorcery, or you may cast a legendary sorcery only if you control a legendary creature or a planeswalker. And then it says target player takes an extra turn after this one. Return up to 1 target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Exile Karn Temporal Sundering. So not only did you have to pay 6 mana for this card, which is hard. Not only did you have to pay 6 mana for this card,
you had to have a legendary.
You also had to have a legendary creature or a planeswalker already out on the battlefield to even play it to begin with. And like, to me, first and foremost, almost all the legendary creatures are X3s. And because they're X3s, just make them super vulnerable to a common card in Lightning Strike. Now, I know that we're kind of getting into the whole thing about like, it dies to Doomblade argument of, this card's bad because it dies to Doomblade. No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah, but I mean,
I'm just saying the most common spot of removal is a 2 mana, deals 3 damage to target, or to any target at this point. I think it's what it's going to be errated to. So even if, let's just say, you got your Planeswalker, your Lightning Strike can still hit it. Like, it's not, that part is still not going away. Also, almost all of the legendary creatures start at a converted mana cost of 4. And the thing about that is the most common removal spell outside of Lightning Strike is Veracious Contempt.
Yep.
And it is also 4 mana.
Yep.
So you're still on parity with that. Like, you're still having to deal with something that is going to be able to be played on the same turn as your card. So you're not...
The only deck that I can actually see that being played in is blue-white taking turns.
Oh, that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but even then, there's
the reason I see
much
that,
better cards for it than that card.
yeah, there's cheaper.
Yeah.
The only reason I say that is because they play Jace.
Yeah.
So.
But with regards to Standard, I think while there are a lot of sweet legendary creatures, and almost all of them are going to see some sort of variation of commander play. Which, I mean, I guess we could have went over all the legendary creatures for the simple fact of commander play, but that's this video would have been even longer, and I feel like it's already gotten to a point where it's kind of long already. But in commander, it's different because commander, you're not there's not a bunch of removal that is relied upon in damage. So lightning bolt's not really ran, or it's just kill spells. So it's gonna die.
Abrupt Decay.
Yeah, Abrupt Decay or Doomblade or Path to Exile, stuff like that.
Sword Plowshare.
Yeah, Sword Plowshare. It's going to remove the card, like it's going to destroy the card, not just deal damage to it, like Lightning Strike or Lightning Bolt will do. But in Standard, there are all those cards that are ran pretty prevalently, also in Modern. So that's why you're not going to be able, like, none of those legendary creatures, outside of the few ones we talked about, will see any kind of Modern play.
The only way that it's playable is if they make the mistake of not killing your creature before you cast it. Because killing your creature after you cast it is just pointless.
Yeah.
It's just it's gonna happen regardless. It's already on the stack.
So so in short, I think there's some sweet cards in the set overall.
Yeah.
I would say that I know a lot of people are hopeful that this is going to change Standard. Sorry to tell you, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I know a lot of people are hopeful.
I think a lot of people are just starting to realize that Standard is a lot more expensive than Modern, which, if you don't know, you're spending about $300 to $400 almost every 6 to 12 months. As compared to Modern, you'll spend like $700 to $1,000 for years to come.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too far into finance, but he is kind of right. There's a stigma about the older formats like Modern and Legacy that when like I can't play Legacy because it's too expensive. Well, the barrier to entry is somewhat expensive.
It's to get in.
But the thing about it is once you get there, you're in there, and
then it's cheap.
You don't really have to do any fooling with the deck. After you've made it, it's done.
Nothing's gonna really change on the deck.
There's not a whole lot of whole lot of cards that are gonna come in.
If something gets printed,
change it.
It's gonna be cheap.
Yeah.
Like the most it's gonna be it's not gonna be thousands of dollars or $300 like a $350 like an Underground Sea.
That's right. That's cool.
Or $2,000 now. Like if you didn't know, Tabernacle of the Pendreville went up.
Yeah.
So.
Like the last card that Burn added to the deck was Inspiring Vantage, which was the land.
That's like
for Modern Burn specifically.
And that's like I think it's like a $7-8 card.
Yeah, if nothing. So in the grand scheme of things, like the deck is a couple $100, but when you're only spending $8 to upgrade it, well technically like $30 or something like that to upgrade the deck a little bit, like that's nothing. compared to buying a whole new standard deck.
Yeah.
And there are people out there that I give props to because they're able to do sweet trades, and therefore like they trade out their stuff before standard rotates and are able to buy another deck. Good on them. Like that's more power to you that you guys are able to do that. But for most people that aren't savvy in that way, I can't do that. Like I tried it when I did play standard for a good while, and there was once the set rotated, I was like, well, I'm not really sure what I'm gonna play now. Yeah. I hadn't really figured anything out, and so overall, there's some sweet cards that were printed, a lot of good commander stuff, a few good modern stuff, some potentially a new deck or two new decks in standard in the Knights and the Fungus / Sapling deck.
Yeah.
There might be also a Wizards deck, but I think that's
be iffy.
I think that's a little bit cutesy.
Yeah.
But overall, I would say I on a scale of 100, 0 being the worst, 100 being the best, where would you probably put it?
Probably give it like an 84.
84. I would probably give it overall, with considering the art and the history stuff and all that stuff, I would probably say pretty close to that, like an 80, mid 80, like 86, something like that.
It's one of the better sets that they've done.
Yeah.
Recently.
Yeah. Yeah. For a single set,
yes,
it's pretty good. And the beautiful thing about it is like there's not going to be any extra fat of some BS extra sets of
It's not like
the small
Battle for Zendikar and the Gatewatch.
Which
I like those two sets, but
sometimes you just want them to be one set.
Yeah.
You know? And Wizards has said going forward that they're not going to be just relegated to. They're gonna do sets however they want now, so that's pretty sweet.
Yep.
Well, thank you guys for watching. If you have any comments or questions, leave them down below, and I'll try to get to them as soon as I can. This is Jordan. It's me, Dex Done Right TCG, signing out. Peace.